Whew. Oh, wow. Well, I am set up. I am dripping. Let me fetch a paper towel from back here. Well, welcome, friends. When I started setting up a little while ago, it was 90 degrees out here. And thankfully, the sun has gone temporarily behind the building. Anyway, and I've had boatloads of technical problems, but you don't want to hear about that. No. Welcome to Dan Nelson. Boatload of technical problems. This is Daily Art Adventure number 709. I should be ready for anything by now, but I think I've gotten over my problem. So let me take just a second and show you where I am. I am in downtown Raleigh at one of my favorite scenes, something like that. Hello, Karen, nice to see you again. So that's what I'm shooting. I don't know how many times I've done the Krispy Kreme. I would think 9 times, going back 15 years. And the lighting, in fact, forgive me, I'm going to take a picture right now as soon as I find my missing camera. Here it is. Right, so the drill is I'll take pictures periodically with this phone as the light continues to shift, but that's pretty nice lighting right there, the way it is right there. So let's get drawing, shall we? As you can see, I already did the abstract marks. I think this line is right about there. As I said, I think I've done this scene 8, 9, or 10 times, right in that range somewhere. And all generally from this viewpoint, because believe me, all the other viewpoints don't work. I've tried. In fact, I tried again today. I drove around and I walked around and I snuck around. You ain't seen nothing till you've seen an artist sneaking. And no, there is no, the only option here really is morning light or evening light. And since generally speaking I'm more or less allergic to morning light, I have done, though I will, let me brag on myself a little bit. I have done the Krispy Kreme a couple times in morning light. That's right. Set an alarm, got out of bed, just like all you working stiffs who I admire and envy greatly. But I don't want to be one of you. Boy, there's some tricky linear perspective going on here. This would be easy to do if I were sitting at a drawing table and I could literally construct all my vanishing points with push pins and bent paper clips and tape. All those tricks that you can do when you're sitting or standing, I suppose, at a drawing table with all kinds of things under your control. But it just doesn't happen that way. When you're out here like this, it's pretty hard to construct physical vanishing points when your canvas is up in the air like so. I'll switch you around and show you the view again as the light changes. It's quite nice right now, and one of the ironies is the light in this classic old Krispy Kreme sign hasn't even come on yet. That will be a decision I'll need to make later on. Do I want this painting? Do I want one of the significant, or do I want the most significant light source, in fact, to be the sign, which it will be here in a little while, as the sun goes down. Everything will get darker, but the big sign will get brighter. This is one of those signs. You may have some of these in your town. I don't know. It violates all zoning ordinances in the city of Raleigh. You cannot open any business really and put up a sign like this. But this sign in particular was determined to be I don't know, what do they call it? Not historic monument. That's a little bit too extreme. But something like that. Anyway, it was grandfathered in. It was grandfathered in because of its age, and it's a landmark in the city of Raleigh. And of course, that's why I've painted it about 9 times. And I believe all 9 of my Krispy Kreme paintings have sold. So as I was driving downtown a couple hours ago, of course I'm always thinking hard about where I want to go to set up. And this came to mind, but it didn't thrill me. Why? I wonder. Could it be because I've painted it about 9 times already? But I think it's one of those cases where I can think like an artist if I want to, but I'm not thinking like a businessman. And being an artist, professional artist, of course, you have to do both. You can't do one or the other. You have to think like a businessman, or you're no longer working as an artist because you're starving. You have to go get a job at Home Depot. Nothing wrong with Home Depot. I appreciate all you people that work there. But if you work at Home Depot full-time, you're no longer a full-time artist. So anyway, I have to give considerable thought to what do people want to buy. My wife Nancy is always, and she would have not even debated. She would have said, yeah, because she knows that all of my, however many I've done, she knows that all my Krispy Kreme paintings have sold. So she would say, what are you wondering about? That's what she would have said. So she didn't even have to tell me that. I just decided to try to obey my wife, even without her there telling me what to do. Hang on a second, let me look at that angle. Yeah, that's about right. The view, almost time to take another picture, and I'll show you guys again. I'll give you another view of, almost time to take another picture, but not quite. The view from where I'm standing is fairly ideal, fairly good, with one great big exception, and that is that there across the street there is a telephone pole or a power line pole right there, smack dab in the middle of the painting, exactly in the center, and at a very awkward point in relationship to the sign. So I have several different options, and I don't know which one. By the way, you people that are not very good at linear perspective or three-point perspective, I hope you're paying a lot of attention to what I'm doing here, because I'm doing what you must do if you don't understand three-point perspective. And by the way, I don't know if this is fair. Now, if you're young, then you have to study perspective until you get it. But if you're over, say, 35, and you've worked at it and you still don't get it, then don't work at it and don't waste your time working at it anymore. Your brain is, I don't think, it's just not going to get linear perspective. Some people, their brain just doesn't work that way. And that's no shame. No doubt you're genius at something else, but just not linear perspective. And if you don't do, if your brain doesn't savvy linear perspective, then you have to compensate. You have to cope. You have to come up with different ways to overcome your deficit. And this is one of the best ways right here, is holding up your brush, pencil, or whatever it is you're drawing with up against. Now, can you see me? Let me back up just a little bit. Since I've gotten that far into it, let me make one huge clarification about that. You hold up, like these brushes are great, long handle brushes. You hold it up even with all the angles in front of me. But in order to do this properly, you need to understand the plane of vision. Come to my drawing class. There's like an invisible glass, Marcel Marceau, man in a box. Except there's no box, just one wall. You have to visualize. And it's flat, it's always right straight in front of you. Whatever you're looking at, the plane of vision is always right there. And so when I'm painting that Krispy Kreme restaurant, the plane of vision is flat against it. And yet that's important, because when you hold your brush up, you have to slap it, coapity. That's the sound of a brush hitting a plane of vision. Coapity. It has to be flat against the plane. I think I just sprayed paint on my face. Probably on my shirt too. Anyway, it has to be flat against the plane of vision. In other words, it can't wobble this way or this way. You understand? So when you hold it up there, boom. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Free commercial for my drawing class, which if you want to be a good painter, you need to be a good drawer, and chances are you're a lot worse at drawing than you think. Woo! There's a way to win friends and influence people. You guys, you're a lot worse at this than you think. Woo! That was low. Woo. Come to Dan Nelson's broadcast for encouragement. Or not. Oh man, okay, plane of vision, you slap. So anyway, that if you're not good at perspective, and again, if you're older, 35 and up, and you've given it a good try, and you don't get it, then don't waste any more time trying. In my opinion, you just don't get it. And that's all right, but you have to compensate. And this is one of the best ways to compensate. You can be a good drawer in spite of the fact that you don't really savvy linear perspective. And just again, just for what it's worth, if you say to me, if I say to you, do you, and I usually use the word savvy, because for me the word savvy means it's more than just understand. It's like you get it in your gut. You really get it. So if I say to you, do you get linear perspective? And if your answer is, well, kinda, no, you don't. No. Either the light bulb is there and you get it in your gut. Your eyes go, I love three-point perspective, or else you don't. And again, no shame if you don't, but if you don't understand it, then move on with life. Stop, don't take any more classes. Now, if you're under 35, none of this applies to you. You have to work your buns and learn linear perspective. Got it? Or any other part of your anatomy that you want to work. All right, I'm making some changes here in my drawing, as I'm hoping you can see. And I'm making the changes in purple because purple is a little bit darker than red. And helps me to see which lines I'm now thinking are correct. Purple ones instead of the red ones. Everything's close. My lines are close. I just want to make little tiny changes, and I'm doing a few cheats as well. I'm moving the building slightly out from behind the big sign. Now, I'm going to stand back and see if I like this, just the perspective composition. Not sure that I do. Darn, it's discouraging when you do all this work and then say, I don't really like where I put it. Let me tweak it a little bit and see if I like it any better. No, I'm going to cheat a little bit, exaggerate the height of the building. I truly want it to feel like this building, of course, but sometimes in an effort to make it feel like the building, to make it feel like the thing, whatever the subject is, sometimes you have to cheat a little bit, and I'm potentially cheating right now. This is probably going to be one of those paintings where after this initial drawing phase, because I've changed my mind, because it's got so many changes in it, probably the very next thing I'm going to do, which is unusual, will be white, a layer of white. So in essence, in order to erase some of the lines that I now find to be erroneous. Okay, that's better. Now, I have to decide where to put this. Okay, before I do though, time to take another picture. The light is just about to leave this side of the Oh, now I've got traffic to fight against. I'm taking pictures with the Pro HDR app, and it takes several seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, okay, about 3.5 seconds to take a picture, because it takes 3 pictures and combines them all. I'm going to maybe take one more. Again, fighting with traffic a little bit. Okay, just a second, and I'll pick you guys up and show you what I'm looking at. That's nice. That might be the best picture right there. All right, so there's what I'm looking at. Got it? It looks very pale and washed out on my monitor, what you're seeing. I guess, trust me. Well, I'll show you. Hello. You might actually be able to see it in here better. Can you see that? Sorry, now you're just getting all reflection. Anyway, this is quite a nice picture here. Yeah, let me edit this. Forgive me just a minute. This is a 20 by 30 inch canvas. Truly, smaller than I like to go. As small as pretty much as small as I can bring myself to do. It is painful for me to do a painting this small, but sometimes it has to be done. There are a number of reasons why I'm doing it this size today. One of which is I had the canvas already on hand. really deep artistic reasons. Like, I looked around in my van behind me as I was driving and said, "Oh, I do have one canvas. Maybe I should do it that color. Maybe I should do it that size." Deep stuff like that. All right, I'm going to do some of the foliage. The leaves on the trees are green. It's still, summertime foliage, late summer around here. A few trees are turning yellow, orange, brown, but not many. But of course, it's all backlit, very much backlit from where I stand here tonight. So the trees are mostly dark, and that's part of the reason why I did them with a lot of red, burgundy, a little bit of green, but not too much. Red and purple both make very good underpainting colors for foliage, for trees with leaves on them. Underpaint them with different layers of different colors of especially red and purple or burgundy. All right, now I've got a big decision to make. It's about that power line. Now, I don't have to do the power line, except that part of the charm of the view, I feel like here, is in fact the stoplights, the power lines, the telephone wires, that little bit of what I call grit up there in the sky, I like better than a nice clean postcard tourism brochure sky. Generally speaking, I like the lines, especially if it's cityscape. But if I put those in there, I have to have a pole in there. Could I cheat? Maybe I could. Could I put it, well, if I put it all the way over here, I'm going to tell you what, while I'm thinking I have to clean these brushes. They're drying out with paint on them. While I'm thinking, I'm going to add some value down here to the bottom of the painting. Nothing like plein air painting, out in nature where you can hear the sounds of the birds and the crickets. Oh, unless you're painting in the city, then forget all that birds and cricket stuff. The sound of the Yamahas and the other motorcycles. That last one that went by was clearly not a Harley Davidson. Oh, here comes one though. All right, back to thinking about this pole. I mean, over here really would work visually, but it doesn't make any sense of the reality. I really like the power lines here. Could I put the pole right here? Maybe. Tell you what, I'm gonna test it over here and see if I like it. And then I can put, whoops, I can move that one, hang on. Then I can put the traffic lights over here. That might work. I'm going to start in that direction anyway. Okay, now one thing I don't have going here, there's no cars in here yet, no people. Let's scribble in some cars and people, even though ironically at the moment there's only 2 cars at the whole place and nobody walking around, but okay, those are cars and people. Now how about somebody up here walking their dog. Yeah, this is definitely a walk the dog kind of painting. Yeah. Whew. All right, now. Thank you. A driver, passer. Whoops, sorry guys. Somebody driving by said that looks really cool. Sorry, I didn't have you lined up there. That's my favorite trick. Stick with me and I'll do that many more times to you. I'm sorry, looking at some of your... Jason, I did not buy a dozen of Krispy Kreme. You'll be proud of me. But I did buy, well, here's what happened. when I first got here, I parked my van in their parking lot so I could get out and take pictures. I ended up walking about 6 or 8 blocks, 4 out and 4 back. So I was there for 25 minutes, and then I felt guilty for having my van parked there for so long. So it felt like I had to go. This sounds like a giant excuse. I'm sorry. No, it's really true. I didn't realize I was sounding like rationalization. Anyway, I felt like I should go in and buy something since I'd parked there for so long. So that's what I did. So I bought one of those cups, like a regular drink-sized cup with a dome over the top of it, with donut holes in it. And there were about a dozen donut holes in it, maybe 10. I've eaten 7 and saved 3. I don't save them for my wife. I'm not that nice. I just mean I save them till I'm driving home. Okay, now I'm doing that thing that I mentioned a few minutes ago, where I'm unusual, but sometimes it happens. If my drawing has so many modifications, changes of mind in it, that I'm afraid if I don't make it a little more clear right now, that I'll simply forget, which marks were the right ones. So that's not a good thing to have happen. So that's why whoa. And somebody asked about, yes, P Street. Yes, right here. P-E-A-C-E. Definitely. There's a big crepe myrtle tree also that I'm putting in front, right where it is, actually. I'm going to be realistic in that regard. Crepe myrtle is right here. Let's do some cars. Instead of making them dark, I'm going to make them light at the moment. I have just realized I have a huge oversight in my day's plan, however. I did snack before I left home, but I'm finding myself quite hungry. And standing next to a Krispy Kreme. This is not a good thing. You do not want to be hungry next to a Krispy Kreme. There's also a handy Hugo's, convenient mart over to my right. So I'm thinking I should go over there and get some beef jerky and, what all, before I succumb to Krispy Kreme insanity. That was a sigh. Hello, Susan. Yes, I did. One of the 9 renderings, or however many it is, that I have done of this building. One of them is a 6 by 10 foot mural on a patio. Yes, indeed, you are correct. That's one of the 9 or 10 or however many it's been. I'm also using the white right now to try to help me nail down the fundamental composition. Where are my lights and darks in particular? Lights, darks, and mediums, I should say. And just like that, the good light is gone. You know, I was going to make this light green, but it just turned red up there now, and I now see that I think red is a much better choice. So unless the sun comes back out and does some fancy stuff that I don't see happening, all the rest of the evening is shooting blind or shooting from photographs that I've already taken. Not my favorite way to work, but pretty common when you paint plein air in the evening, and the most beautiful light is, 10 minutes or 20 minutes before sundown, and then boom, sundown down, the sun goes down, and there you are. That's it. You better have taken a picture or have a really good memory, one or the other. All right, this is a good time for me to do some pencil stuff. The pencil helps with rendering, of course, capturing the image. But as you know, it's also even more important as adding texture. Thank you. Did you? Thank you. The driver. Okay, so I've done this so many times. D 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 letters. That means 1, 2, 3. That means the H is in the middle. So the H is right here. N-U-T-S. G. Donuts, spelled the right way. Doug-nuts. So we'll be missing the D, and that's okay. I kind of like that, actually. And coffee. The 2 F's are, the center is between the 2 F's. Then the hard one, the Krispy Kreme. K-R-I-S-P-Y with a thing along the top. Kreme. K-R-E-M-E. I hate to think how many English teachers had a cow when Krispy Kreme was invented. That's the kind of thing that English majors have cows over. Do you know that? If you are an English major, then of course you know that. All you could say is either you're having a cow or you had one, or you're saying, oh, I'm not one of those. I miss Garrison Keillor, Prairie Home Companion. Some of you know what I'm talking about. The rest of you don't worry about it. But one of his running gags was something, the National Association of English Majors or something like that. That was one of my favorite gags. I was not an English major. I was a music major and then an art major. But I grew up in a family of people who spoke the King's English slightly better than the King. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I know I butcher the King's English very often on my broadcast, of course. The good news is I almost always know that I'm butchering it. So there's a great, in my opinion, great benefit in growing up with parents who used proper English, because, passing all those quizzes in junior high and high school English was a piece of cake. I knew exactly what was correct or proper. Couldn't fool me. I knew exactly who's and those and yours and all that other stuff. So thanks, Mom. Anyway, Krispy Kreme, Kreme. That was my mom. Oh, I don't remember her saying anything about it, honestly, but we didn't grow up in the South. Hello. Thank you. Take my first guess as to where the power lines and one, whatever you call it, the cable that just stabilizes the. Ooh, and a crosswalk. That's a sign. That's a good bit of detail I want to include. There's a big transformer box on that pole, which is not going in the painting. It does not add much to the ambiance. Oh, but there is a vent chimney up there. I don't know what you call those little aluminum shaft with a cap on the top. Some kind of chimney. Oh, and the crepe myrtle. I love crepe myrtles. I like painting them, drawing them, and they're my favorite North Carolina tree, even over the dogwood, which the dogwoods are pretty spectacular, but I like crepe myrtles even better. For one thing, their flower lasts so much longer, and they're beautiful even when they're bare, because the dogwoods are okay when they're bare too, but not as good as a crepe myrtle. Aha, I've got too big an empty space down here, so yes, let's put a car zipping through, running a red light. Evidently, he just got through before it turned red. We'll assume that's the case, okay? I'm going to do some. It's too early to do glazes yet, because a lot of that white is wet. But I can do this. And let this be drying at the same time that I'm waiting for all the white to dry. Okay, so these are the words on the sign, or the background words, one or the other. I'm going to take a break right there. During this break, I'm going to walk over to that handy Hugo and invest in some serious supper. Maybe some granola bars and a piece of beef jerky. Good supper, stuff like that. And oh man, Greg F. Are you serious? $19.99? That's cool. Oh boy. All right, so I'm going to leave this on that. Hello. Acrylic right now. I switched to oil in a while. Thank you. Bless you. Interesting part of town here. It's kind of a crossroads. Convergence of several different segments of our society. All right, would you guys watch this for me while I'm gone? You say I'm going to walk over there. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to pause the broadcast. Be back in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. Be back in just a few minutes. Bye-bye. All right, supper is over. Thank you for your patience. I dragged my brush through some of the wet stuff. I already did that trick. And the white and some of this red is still not dry enough to proceed, so I'm going to continue with just more pencil stuff. Krispy, that's all we can see. It runs behind a crepe myrtle tree. Okay, some vehicles here, some cars, hopefully that won't look like Soviet era. So my son Cameron used to tease me. He likes cars a lot, and he didn't like the way I desecrated his cars. They looked like whatever they were called, those horrible, ugly things made in the Soviet Union. Once again, drag brush through wet stuff, and this works if you do it with vigor and rod movement. Yes, sir. The other direction. Yes, sir. Getting there. I'll be here for a while. All right. I think it's dry enough that I can do some glazes. I don't know what color glazes. Honestly, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to have the light turned on in the sign or turned off. I got a pretty nice photograph about 45 minutes ago. The light, of course, was on the sign was still off. And it's off right now still. But of course, I know that once that sign comes on, I'm going to be gravely tempted to, and I'm, oh, dog. Oh my goodness, that really got me. That's crazy. He must have caught me. I didn't see him coming. Yeah, who was a rat on a leash? Somebody said a while ago. By the way, Greg F., I did not give you adequate thanks, my friend. Thank you for your extraordinary generosity. I hope you're still here so you can hear me say thank you. And I appreciate that very, very much for that. Super chat of 1999. I'm going to do a little bit of painting with a paper towel here on top of the, wiping off some of the blue that I just put down. It's legal. It's legal to wipe off in acrylics. You just don't have very long to do it, that's all. You have to do it pretty quick or your window of opportunity is gone. So there. Just did a bunch of blue, as you can see. And I think I'm going to continue with a bunch of yellow and orange. The only bad thing about these chip brushes is they hold water. They have a reservoir, an unintended reservoir. Well, that's not the only bad thing about these brushes. They're cheap, they shed. But anyway, I love them. But I don't like the hidden reservoir feature. I don't care for that very much. All right, I have yellow and orange. Wow, what a mess. What a mess. I mean, it's okay mess. I'm not really panicking, but it's not quite. See, do you see, this is what happens when you mix glazes, especially if there's still wet white that's wet in there. See, that's where that cloudy stuff comes from. And I'll make it work. It's all right, but it's not great, not preferred, not the look that I'm after usually. That is not a glaze. Do you understand? As long as you understand, that be not a glaze. No. That is translucence. And there's a huge difference visually, emotionally, impact, color-wise. Transparent is pretty. Translucent can be pretty. I mean, it's critical. It's magic. But anyway. Yep. Oh, when's the show? No, I don't. Nope. Nothing on the calendar. Deborah, good. Greg F putting the thumb screws to everybody. Thanks, Greg. I told him I'd pay him $25 if he gave me $20. All right, now. Back to white again. So my second application of white. My painters group, my monthly painters group is tomorrow night in Cary, North Carolina. If by any chance you're local, you're more than welcome to join us. If you're a painter, or if you're the chauffeur of a painter. And thankfully, I do have a couple paintings that I can take. You wouldn't believe how many times the second Tuesday of the month comes around, and I've done, 15 or 20 paintings in the previous month, but they're all gone. I have nothing to show. Now, I never have nothing to show. I can always find something, but it's not always like the works that I did that week and whatever. All right, now this is fun. Am I zoomed in? Yeah, this is fun, and unfortunately, it won't last very long. Doing the magic of doing white into wet is fun. And it's legal. I want to give a warning to any of you who are maybe emulating, imitating, or following my technique or my influence. This is legal. What is not legal is rubbing the paint around so that you create, not that any of you would do this, of course. So you're creating, in essence, an opaque pastel color. That is not the look we're after at all. So you can let the white, of course, pick up and smear the color, but you don't smear it around. Am I making sense? You don't say, golly, look at it, it's making pink, I like that, and then you start painting pink all over the place. That is not the look. And indeed, I used to resist I used to wait until the color was all dry before I did this white, and that is, I would say, a classic way for a recovering tighty. I'm calling myself the kind of person who's too tight in their paintings, just like most of you. That's a typical way for a recovering tighty to paint, because a tighty person, a person who's a tighty, again, which is most of you, frankly, we don't like not being in control. We like knowing what's going to happen when we put the brush down on the canvas. Does that make sense? That's why I didn't. That's why I waited till the white dried, because then you were more sure of what was going to happen. But when you're painting wet and wet, you don't know what's going to happen. And now that I'm a little more mature painter, I'm realizing, oh, that's a good thing. Not knowing what's going to happen is actually a good thing, contrary to your intuition. If you're a tighty, your intuition. Now, wait a minute. Here I am painting this sign, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to paint it with the light on or off. That's kind of seems counterintuitive. Well, okay, at the moment I'm painting it in such a manner that I can turn the light on easily in just a little while. I'm reading Susan and Uncle 16. Pretend you're Dan. Yeah, there's the ticket. Be bold. Indeed. I love it. I sent an email to Christian Hook the other day on his website, like anybody can do. And he was kind enough to send a very brief email back. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Anyway, I feel like I'm pretty bold and free until I look at somebody who's bolder and freer. Eh? Is that ringing a bell? Got amen from anybody? Yeah, I feel like I'm a wild man till I look at somebody like Christian Hook, then I go, oh, dang, I'm not even in the running. Not even. It's like our 3-year-old grandson thinking he's a wild man. You know, when he says, "Watch," and he falls backward on our bed. You know, he thinks he's a wild man. That's kind of like that. That's what it is. Me and I've used this joke before, but I like it so much. Shut up, I'm going to use it again. People use my name and Christian Hunt's name in the same sentence very often. The sentence is, well, he sure ain't no Christian Hunt. Sorry. Some of you have heard that perhaps more than once. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. You have to listen to the same bad joke more than once. I'm laughing at you guys talking to each other. Oh, I wish that light would come on. I really do. Because I know it's going to make a huge difference in the scene before me. It would be terrible if they've, come up with some new global warming rule. Sorry. So they don't turn their sign on anymore. The city made them turn it off. That, my friends, would be bad. That would be bad. Especially for my painting, that would be bad. But I do spy a composition happening here, which I'm happy about. Okay, so shall we talk about composition again? Yes, we shall. It's very humid out here, and I'm quite happy about that at the moment, other than I'm dripping with sweat. But other than that, nice thing is the colored paint that I'm painting into is continuing to remain wet, so that I'm getting the uniform effect throughout the whole canvas, which is a nice situation. Okay, composition, yes. It's been a while since I did a dissertation on composition. So if I'm able to continue to paint and talk at the same time, I will. Here's my take on composition. Okay. Painting first, talking second though, so hang on. I'll only talk if I can actually keep my wits about me. This building, this Krispy Kreme building, this is a rule, all rules can be broken, but you better know the rule or you're probably just screwing up. Okay, this Krispy Kreme building must go off the page, so to speak, must go off the canvas somewhere, one side or the other. Okay, now's a good time to say why. Or how come? It's a psychological thing. Of course, everything in art is psychological, isn't it? It's a psychological thing. Boy, that is really a pretty painting, just the way it is right there. Man, too bad that's not my style. I could be done already and go home. That is really pretty. Okay, so, and just for what it's worth, my goal now is to try to maintain this energy, brush, texture, color, and composition energy, while at the same time overlaying some detail and realism on top of this. Does that make sense? In fact, wait a minute, I'm just getting a surprise right here. I'm getting a big surprise. Hang on. Okay, turns out I'm done with acrylics. I wasn't even thinking about it yet, but clearly that's where I am. Okay, something about time travel. I have to see. Christian Hunt. I've got the right name, don't? Oh, Hook, not Hunt. Hook. Thank you. No, Christian Hook. Thank you for correcting me there. Uncle 60, 2 computer degrees, we don't post anything. Come on, you guys, we're going to start a community here. We're going to start sharing paintings here pretty soon. Even if they're, anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I need somebody to help me work out the mechanics, but I think that would be great fun, especially with you regulars. So we already have fun with each other. Wouldn't that be fun to, you send me your picture, I print it out on canvas, we talk about it together. This would be live on, web conferencing. We can all see each other, and we can see each other's, and we critique, and then I give the final word critique, not with a heavy hand, of course, and then thank you, getting there, and then on the canvas that I printed out, I do my thing on your canvas, whatever that may be, different thing on each canvas. All right, this is soaking wet, and I can close up my acrylics though. It's soaking wet, and so I can't do anything for a while except pencil. So I will do pencil, and hopefully then it'll be dry enough to proceed to oils. It's amazing how humid it is out here tonight. I don't know what the weatherman says, but I feel clammy from my earlier perspiration. That wonderful feeling. I'm sure you're all enjoying this description very much. Yes, for a fee, Uncle 60. You're exactly right, for a fee. Correct. Not a big fee, just something small and reasonable, something to help make it worth my while. I think that would be great fun. All right, yahoo! Done with the acrylics. That was a fun surprise. I have another toy to play with here. I just saw it, said this might be a good time for watercolor crayons. How's that for something crazy? Oh, okay, I'm gonna pick you up now. The light just came on. So there's what it looks like now. Hang on. There we go. Whoops, my painting's in the way. All right, so there you go. I am now going to take a picture of that because the sky is still light, which I feel like is probably optimal lighting. Okay, I gotta let you guys know something funny. You see, I have these little in-ear monitors, right? And they really help a lot. I hear myself about a 1.5 second delay, but it's turned down far enough that it doesn't distract me. And it really does help, because if suddenly I stop broadcasting, I stop getting sound in my ears. So anyway, but that's what it is. But in the course of me fiddling around with this thing, just one of them, the other day, evidently I hit the magic button. Hang on. And the girl in my ear, who usually says, power on, power off, and phone call, 919-623-5262, which is my number. She talks in Korean or something. So I didn't have any idea what she's saying. A minute ago, this Korean girl started talking in my ear. Sorry, I know that sounds, I don't know Korean, but anyway. I said, what in the world? I looked over and there was a phone call coming in, which of course I ignore. But anyway, life in the funny world we live in. So I don't know if I'll ever do this particular thing again that I'm doing right now. Again, watercolor crayons, if you can imagine such a thing. And the only reason I think it might work is because, first of all, the canvas is quite soaking wet. And then secondly, the very next thing I'm going to do after it dries is liquid. And you've heard me say before that one of the wonderful things about liquid is that it plays very well with water. So I'm not worried about that this watercolor stick might, render the oil painting unstable. I'm really not worried about that. First of all, it's going to be enmeshed in water in this, and it'll dry, and it'll be, in my opinion, pretty stable at that point. But then when I add liquid to it, I think it'll be very stable. All right, but that's enough. I'm done playing. That was kind of fun. Now I'm going to do pencils. Second go around with pencils, which is unusual. I don't normally a free uncle. I'm laughing. I know. I'm sorry. When you people watching this in the lag time, you'll wonder, so what's he laughing about? Okay, I was laughing at Susan and Jason and Uncle talking about free uncle for a fee, etc. Anyway, that's all. Yeah. See, you guys who watch this late, I know you feel bad already. I'm about to make you feel even worse. You really missed the party, so I don't care what side of the world you live on. I'm being completely facetious. I do very much care what side of the world you live on. And hello, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, wow.
It's going good.
Wow, that came along very quickly.
Well, that's the fast part. I always, when I get this far, I always think, man, I'm moving right along. And then I get into the slow phase.
Yeah.
Oh,
God. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I take a
No,
photo?
of course not. And yeah, post the heck out of it or whatever. You have my card, so you have my name.
Sir.
And at least this time I'm actually, well, not painting at the moment, but drawing anyway. I'm using pencils at the moment, and that is not at all conventional.
Pencils?
Yeah, they're kind of like grease pencils. And again, that is not a conventional, an ordinary thing to do. It's kind of weird, but I like it. It works for me. And I am just finishing up the acrylic phase. And then I switch to oil. So, but this has to dry.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I'm using pencils is because I can do something, at least I can do something while I wait for this soaking wet painting to dry. Because there's not much I can do till it dries. But I can do this.
So you have a whole camera rig set up here.
Yeah,
Wow, that's cool.
that's broadcasting on YouTube. One of those guys going to get in trouble for riding in the back of the truck. That seems dirty pool.
Yeah.
Poor Mexicans been working in the hot sun all day. They're riding in the back of the truck like we all did. Not when you were alive, but when I was alive. We all did that.
I remember doing that when I was younger too.
We always rode.
Back of the truck, just-
Oh, and everything, back of the station wagon,
Yeah.
back of everything.
So do you get these hung like somewhere in a gallery?
No, well, I've been in lots of galleries
Okay.
for many years. Just several months ago, I pulled out of all galleries.
I see.
It's sort of a shift in marketing strategy, and I'm sort of right between, strategies right now. Right now, part of my strategy is get the heck downtown on the street and paint, because you meet people like you,
Exactly.
and sometimes you meet people who will buy a painting.
Yeah.
Or a business that wants to buy a bunch of paintings. Here's my dog.
How many years have you been painting?
Really, my whole life. The best answer to that is my whole life. My dad was a good painter. So by the time I went off to kindergarten, I thought I was a painter. Now, I didn't do oil painting. I did everything else. I did every other kind of artwork except oil painting till my mid-40s. But that's quite deceiving. I was a full-time professional artist for decades before I picked up oil painting. This is acrylics right now, but as soon as this dries, I switch to oil. I do oil on top of the acrylic.
I see. Okay.
Get it? And as you can see by the way I handle the pencils, the purpose of the pencils is a little bit to capture the image, realism, but way more than that, it's just to create interesting texture. Can you see? By the way I move.
I see. So So it's more just an aesthetic than.
That's correct. And then
really a
realism.
functional
Yep.
element. I see.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the texture than the realism of the drawing. Although, you could tell, I work pretty hard to, get all these things in the right place. So
Yeah.
it's certainly not
Wow.
a realistic painting. It is certainly a realistic
I really
technique.
like the style.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I didn't get a chance to look at your car, but there's a website on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
That is excellent work, sir.
thank
It
you.
was a really cool pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And if you get a picture that turns out particularly well, if you don't mind emailing it to me,
Yes, sir.
if you give me
Absolutely.
permission to put it on,
Yeah.
who knows what, Facebook or whatever,
If
Instagram or
you have
YouTube.
Instagram,
Yep.
if ever you're downtown,
Uh-huh.
just shoot me a message and I'll.
Oh,
If
okay.
I'm also downtown, I'll come swing by.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so be sure to give
I'd
me
be
your.
glad to take a photo anytime.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Of course.
Yeah, give me your, make sure you connect with me.
Yes, sir.
Good to meet you, Andrew.
Good to meet you
Bless
too.
you. Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
You too. Oh, that's sweet. Want to see what this looks like without any light on it? Woo! Uh-oh. Woo! Want to see what? Oh, that. I really have to be careful not to paint with the light too bright. It has the same effect of as painting in sunlight. It throws all your judgments off if it's too bright. I remember the first time I ever did that years ago. I was painting plein air painting somewhere. Where was I? Oh, it was downtown Raleigh. Yep, surprise. And I was doing several paintings at the same time. I used to do that a lot. While I was waiting for something to dry, I would pull up another canvas and work on that one. I was in the sun. I just was dumb. I didn't know any better. And happy with my, progress. Took them all home, took them out of the car, took them in the house, and they all turned like black. Not literally, but they were so dark I couldn't believe it. I mean, there was nothing. I had to completely scrape it off or something. Beach life. Yeah, it's in the UK. Oh my goodness, it's late there. Wow. The time here is 7:40. Yeah, so sundown was about how long ago? 25 minutes ago, I guess. Time for another picture here. That's nice lighting too. I just took a machine gun series of pictures so that if I want to, whoops, they're saying I'm out of room. They didn't like that machine gun. That's too bad. Hello. There you are.
Okay.
There you are. There's the man who owns the store here. Yeah.
Oh, good one.
What do you think? Is that good, okay?
Yeah.
Would you like me to paint your store?
You want to Plein?
Do you own this? Or did somebody else own it?
Oh, somebody there?
No. I said, would you like me to paint your store? I'll do a painting of your Andy Hugo's.
Your friend, the company.
Yeah. See, that's a pretty picture right there. Here, let me show you.
Okay.
That would actually make quite a nice painting, and I'm not kidding. I like that kind of thing. Let me show my friends. So, don't you think that would make a nice painting? Whoops. Hang on. There we go. That'd make a nice painting, wouldn't it? All right. All right.
Okay,
good to see you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
That's the man from the Andy Hugo's. Oh, what fun. All right, gang, I am stuck. There's just nothing I can do. I can stand here or sit here. I know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to pause. Excuse me. At one point this afternoon, evening, I had 3 umbrellas. Should I put those up just to show you? Oh, just for the heck of it. Sure, here we go. I'm going to show you what my easel looked like. I'm going to pick you up in a minute. I'm going to show you what my easel looked like. Because when I started sitting up here, it was 90 degrees and I was in unprotected sun. So, so just for fun. The other day, David was asking, about my equipment. Bigger canvases, y'all. Just use bigger brushes. That's the main thing. Make bigger marks. Anyway, so here I am. This was me a couple hours ago. And that's because it was blistering sun, 90 degrees in the shade. And so you just couldn't even think about painting in that kind of heat. So, but then the sun went behind buildings. Now it's behind the horizon. All right, so a little break time here. Thanks for your company. I have to wait for this to dry. I really don't have any choice. In the meantime, I'm going to pack up a bunch of my umbrellas in my van, which is 100 paces down to my right. Enjoying your company very much. Thank you, and I'll be back as soon as I can. Let me think. Okay, I haven't done this too. I'm going to end this broadcast so you all can relax. You can go away from your computer, and if you've hit the bell, you'll get a notice when I come back, okay? Because I don't know if it's going to be 20 minutes or 40. I hope not 40. So I'm going to end the broadcast. That makes sense? And those of you who are subscribers and you've hit the bell, you'll be notified when I come back. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. Oh, those great chats. I'll read them later. Bye-bye.